We're live. We're live.
Okay, well, great. Well, thank you guys for coming. We're gonna get started. Everybody know what they're doing? Okay. So let's start with approval of minutes. If you need a copy, they're right here. We had a really interesting conversation with Dr. St. John. I thought it was really.
I'm looking at it, I'm kind of disappointed, wasn't
It was really cool. If you ever get a chance, I highly recommend it. And I think last week, I think he plans on coming to additional meetings. Like it wasn't just one of them. So I'm really lucky to have him, and I think it's really cool that he's showing up in a private case. So yeah. Motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
We're gonna do laws and special.
Yeah. So one of the things over this year, and it sometimes happens in other years as well, but we had turnovers in officers partly through the year. And one of the issues that we determined while we were looking at is the bylaws were limiting on once you take over a position after you're reelected during because of a special election. So for example, our president, our previous president bowed out, and then Meg was elected as the new president. Well, according to the bylaws currently, she's supposed to be done after this year. So the issue is that we needed to have it where I think we wanted to reword it where basically you finish out the term of your predecessor versus basically you got elected and now you have to determine if you're up for re-election within like a few months. I think it just seems like a little counterproductive, a lot of extra work for now.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for the company, which we need to, but we wanted to open up the discussion.
Because I think one of the proposed things that happened when we first elected her was, pending she goes through the term out or the presidential's term out.
Well, technically, we have to
As well, because then Lindsay was then moved to secretary. So it was already your first year on it though too, right?
I think term makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so we just had there's a amendment. So in order to do that, we have to amend the bylaws, and in the bylaws amendment, you have to have at least 2/3 vote of the people present at the meeting that the amendment is being voted on. Okay. We do have to technically get it out 30 days before the meeting that it's voted on. But I guess one of our concerns is it was brought up when she was first elected. And so my assumption is that was really our proposal to say, hey, we want to change the bylaws to do the following.
Yeah.
And so
we talked about it before even the election, I think, when we started the nominating committee for this. So it's been since December or January. So
yeah.
I'd say that's plenty of time.
And I didn't have a chance to go back and look at the minutes for that election period. Was there a conversation or comment in there about that? Because that would be a good written statement basically saying here's.
Yeah, at the actual meeting, yes.
Yeah, because if it's in there, then I think that's our written statement like, hey, this is going to be the new change in term. We can always obviously propose the language of it, or we can decide if we want to, vote at the next meeting or vote at this meeting. I think we already know the language. So I guess I'll motion to approve an amendment for the language that allows you to finish out your term when you're elected during this special election. Second? You second it? Okay. Is all in favor? Aye. Okay, motion passes. So we got you for another year. Lizzie. Many of you have basements.
Okay, we have some awesome committee updates. I think ask you, did you want to update on dance? An update on?
Sure. I think dance was a big hit. We had a little bit less turnout as far as volume of kids that were in. It was a great number that showed up, and it was fun. The kids enjoyed it. Had an excellent, what was it called? The 360 pictures.
Yeah.
The kids talked nonstop about the photo booth. We discussed was trying to be more direct with our key club officers, make sure they know specifically what they're supposed to do.
Like, anytime that they're
Correct.
being utilized, so, just being really straightforward with expectations.
Other than that, I think well, behavior was great. We made some excellent income off of it. Brian, did we have a total after it was all said?
Yeah, and that was, so Marcia, I think you helped out with the dance this year. And I didn't. Okay.
Yeah, she did. She helped a lot.
Well, that's because, so one of the,
Understand it.
Right?
one of the things is that, you know, I decided to put a comparative, and this year we didn't have any decor supply out-of-pocket costs. And that was thanks to you.
Thank you.
I'll learn from you.
So, yeah, so for the financials, since that's the only thing, we only had the DJ, the SRO, and the photo booth, and everything else was donated and whatnot. We still came out pretty close to what we were last year. Did you want to talk about, you want me to tell them the numbers? Or
Yeah.
We were last year. Did you want to talk about, you want me to tell them the numbers? Or
Yeah, that'd
okay.
be great.
Okay, so last year the revenue was $6,049. We didn't really track concessions too well during that dance. This year we did a lot better on it, so we were able to figure out at least concessions were $1,540, and then ticket sales were $3,720. Now, in saying that, I do know that I think there were more kids than 372 kids that showed up. But, you know, that's something that's a work in progress. We'll figure out how to hone that down next year. So total revenue was $5,260. So compared to the $6,049, yeah, it was down about $800. But because the expenses were down last year, the expenses were at $1,551.76. This year is at $1,150. So there was another, then there was so that was a $400 drop in expenses. So even though it was an $800 loss in revenue, our hit was only around $400. So the net revenue from the dance was, or net income was $4,110.
A big thank you to everybody that was there helping out or contributing to help that be a successful event for us.
Yeah, which is double what we budgeted, because usually I budget conservatives in case there's a bad year. Who knows if COVID
Who
is.
knows? Any questions about the dance? Okay, then 5K, we just had that this past weekend. Again, participation was a little bit lower than last year, but it sounds like it was a successful event. I was unable to make it that day, but we do have some people that were there. Do you want to comment on that? Either of you that were there? Brian chaired.
Yeah, I think I've reiterated so many times it was windy. It was a very windy day. I'm glad that everybody came, considering it was put together, I feel like a little last minute due to just many different things. One of them being we had co-chair changeovers throughout the year. And then I wasn't able to focus much on it because of tax season, but I think it all came together. It was very helpful that Leanne Nome was there to help dictate a lot of it and put a lot of things out. We did have volunteers show up. It was great. I think communication was okay and was good. There's always, I think, room for better communication stuff. But again, it's a group chat. Everybody's just trying to figure it out. We did have some people not pick up their packets. We did have some people have same day registration. The good thing is it wasn't a lot. I think we only had 9 people register same day, which was good, which took a lot of pressure off of volunteers that were having to pick up their pack. People were picking up their packets still and whatnot. We did have about half the people pick up their packets the night before, which is very helpful. And not too many complaints about T-shirts. One of the good things is that we did say after March or May 4th, if you ordered or signed up, you weren't guaranteed a T-shirt. Well, you got a T-shirt, but it may just not have been the size that you wanted. So that was an important factor. So at least we didn't have anyone that didn't have a T-shirt. So yeah, and overall, I don't think we ever followed up, but I know obviously We had the DJ there that was really great. He was announcing sponsors and thanking everyone for being there. You could hear the music from the stadium all the way across the parking lot, which is great. The timing company did really well. We had the gates set up. To be honest, he was cheaper than it was before than last year, and he communicated better. He met us many different times out there just to make sure everything was okay. He delivered things ahead of time, so we didn't feel like, hey, we have stuff to set up. I just think communication with the janitor and the timing company we're so much better this year. So if we decide to do this next year, I think it'd be important to maybe get Zach on as soon as possible.
Okay.
So yeah, I think he was like $250 cheaper. I think we were quoted $750. I'm still waiting on that invoice. I asked him if he's going to send it to me at some point. He said he will. So, but yeah, the DJ was good, and actually, we don't have to go through Fort Wayne DJs. This DJ is his own DJ company. He gave me his card, so he was just glad that the speakers were loud enough, and especially on the day that we had. So, other than that, the SRO. So in terms of expenses, I talked to Officer Kramer, and he's like, he said he wasn't planning on charging us, but I think we'll see. I mean, to be honest, he only showed up for like 20 minutes. He showed up, he dropped his kid off,
Oh, yeah.
it registered after the registration was closed, because I was like, I'm not going to tell Officer Kramer's kid can't register. And then he ended up, as soon as like the 5K started, he made his way over to block off the entrance, which was crucial.
Yeah.
He helped with, like the Bridgewater.
Yeah, that
and made sure that was safe. And he did check in with me several times because I was out.
Good.
So yeah, he was great.
Good. Because, so I don't know if we'll get a bill for him, but it's part of the cost I have in here.
I guess that's a good question. Is that something that we need to have for the?
And especially since he was hanging out before he started over next to the building. So if like something went down, like some kids didn't lead along, or parents or whatever, he was at least there and he could have walked over. That's good. So we did come out ahead, more than what we budgeted, because you can always budget low. One suggestion, if we're going to do it next year, do it earlier, get things moving earlier. But the race for the Warrior, that got so much media coverage, more than I expected to. I don't know if you got on social media, you guys got. We can work around that. Just a thought. So.
Okay, any questions about that, or should we move on? All right, thank you, Brian. 8th grade graduation coming up. That's why parents can just concentrate on the graduation itself. I am really set up on that one. I just want to make sure that leave it open for other people to fill in first, so we can make sure we get other people covered. The good news is the 8th grade parents definitely came out, and they have filled up all of their 10 slots during.
We actually have 11
Yeah, okay, 11, yeah, so that's covered. That's the 11:50 to 12:50, which is the actual lunch. And then we also need some more help, again, 6th and 7th grade parents from 12 to 2. So I don't know if it's because they're thinking, oh, it's an 8th grade graduation, so they're not opening it up and even looking.
Well, I think like Deer Ridge Field Day.
Oh,
So we're
gosh,
already
you're right.
volunteering
Oh,
there.
geez.
If you have younger children.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
Okay.
yeah. I don't think every elementary school has field day on the last day. Right, but I know
Yeah.
Deer Ridge. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is last day of school. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So,
If you guys know of anybody that might.
I can set up.
Okay,
I just
thank
need
you.
to remind
Appreciate
myself.
that.
Find the.
I'm on there, but I do some that afternoon, which I didn't think would happen on the last day of school. But I'll be there at 9.
Okay, thank you. There's also one more slot we don't have anybody signed up yet for, and that's for Wednesday. So the day before, they're hoping to come in and just do some pre-setup of like balloons and, which that would be great for Key Club to come in too, don't you think? They're done.
Finals week.
Oh, yeah,
They
you're
already
right.
had to turn in their hours.
They're like, I'm done.
You might be able to get some high schoolers to volunteer if they're
Right.
at finals, but that's that week for them.
Yeah, that does make sense. They are busy with that. So, yeah, those are the slots we still have to get filled. As far as everything being good to go for 8th grade graduation, we have Whitney Kirkland, who is in charge of that, and I spoke with her, it sounds like everything's set up, she's got it all under wraps, she kind of helped out last year too, so she knows what she's doing, and she's got classes set up, she's got, what is it, balloon arch, and she's doing the backdrop, she's gonna be bringing it for the photo op, so should be a really nice event, it's always gone over really well in the past. So, any questions about that one?
Can you, it sounds like easy. Could you explain like how that works? So the kids come and they have lunch, and then how long does this 8th grade graduation take? Is it done by the end of the school day? Or?
It is actually done early and they let the kids go home. So they are released, walkers can go even if their parents aren't there. They don't make them sit.
So it's like an hour long? Like,
Marcia,
I can't recall, but
okay.
I think an hour sounds about right.
Or just have it like
Trying to
everything is
remember last
recognized.
year.
Like,
It didn't last that long.
okay.
You think it's about an hour?
You went through that.
Yeah. So they are, let's see, what time are they specifically wanting to start that? Do you remember?
No, I'll have to look that up, but I
Okay.
can send that out to you.
I feel like it says it starts at 1:10. The program?
I took a picture of it. Just a second, I can pull it up.
Along those lines, I know you were very interested in this. The raffle is coming out for.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
12:15.
Thanks for
It
mentioning.
starts
that.
at 1, but.
8th grade award ceremony will start at 1:10. Okay. Indoors open.
Mhm. Which is the shift ending for the 8th grade parents, which might be another reason why we got good sign up, because they can go right over there and get good seats. So, and thank you for mentioning the raffle. For those who may not know yet, we are planning on putting on a raffle, which will give parking spots available. You can put your drawing in for front row parking. It does back up. It goes all the way over to Chapel for parking. Covington fills up. It's quite a big deal. It's a lot of parking. We also want to have seats, which you can choose, or we do both sides. What do we decide on that?
Two poles for parking and then 2 poles for seating, one on either side.
One on
Either
either
seat, either side, you still have a great stage,
Yeah.
which is where the action happens. So, yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
And the kids will be sitting alphabetically. It's not going to be by team. So
So it's not like,
as far as you knowing where to sit in 8th grade,
it doesn't
it's
matter.
going to be
It doesn't
walk
matter
right
because
away.
they're.
Right. Yep. It's a fun event. You guys will enjoy it with 8th grade. The 8th grade parents. Okay, moving on to committee interest. I've been trying to kind of get a feel for who we have returning, who we need to fill in spots for. We do have quite a few open ones. So the 8th grade graduation spot will be open because our parent, Whitney, is going to be an 8th grade parent. So we're kind of wanting to pass that buck down to somebody to help teach because she's not gone yet. So she already mentioned she would be around to help out with that. Not to run the show, but to transition. So think about that. If there's anybody who would be interested, that'd be great if you could just let me know and I'll get your name down for that. Okay. Dan, that one is open spring. If anybody's interested in filling that dance, running it for us. Other ones that are open, teacher appreciation. Our current one did an excellent job, Lauren, but she does have a job and it was a bit of a commitment for her to be able to do both things. So if you're interested in filling that position, that would be great. A couple new ones that we have, we're talking about hardware.
So you want stock to sell? I don't know where you want it to be all
It's
online.
gonna be mostly online and then it'll be, I think this is still in the works very much, but from what we've talked with, talked with a couple of different companies that have an online store open 3 times a year. That's the model that works at most elementary and middle schools that we've found. But then we also love to have some inventory available for sale in person at like, when you have registration, when the kiddos come over as information, when the kiddos come over as incoming sixth graders, I think that would be a wonderful opportunity. And then we can send our traders coordinators, depending on how responsive those are. Not saying that that person has to be the person to sell it all the time, but just to help with the organization.
I don't necessarily want to chair that, but I have done some of that with dealers. I'm happy to give my input.
Okay. Yeah, that would be helpful. Would you be interested like a co-chair if we found somebody else, that type of thing?
Well, my only thing is I'm still doing it at Deer Ridge and I don't really want to do it. And get the emails.
Yeah, oh, that could get confusing.
Anyway, so I'd rather not, but I'd be happy. Like,
Who do you guys use? Do you use the same person at both those?
it's very, I will say it's been really easy as far as pretty low maintenance,
Yeah.
I guess. The store is open all year round, every day. It's not like you open it 3 times a year, whatever. And then anybody can order. Like, say you want to order Christmas gifts, go for it. You want to order a birthday gift, whatever, it can be ordered at any time, and it ships to your house.
Oh, okay, not
So they, tell me what your feedback, give me feedback on this, because when I suggested that, and having it open all year, they said basically they don't recommend that because there's no sense of urgency. And people will put off that ordering. Have you felt that, or do you get a lot of random
We
orders?
just get random orders, and I mean, they get, like, they deposit a quarterly, a quarterly commission or whatever. And it's really, like, they'll send me, they are really good about sending, I mean, sometimes the emails can be overwhelming, I will say, I get a bunch of them, but they're really good about sending, like, here's a sample social media post with a link and everything, and then very, think too much about
I'll
it.
send you that information.
Yeah,
You should definitely-
I agree. We used to use a local company, which I always want to support local, and we never gave any money.
Oh.
And they also, it kind of backfired on us because the last year that we used them, after we've been using them for several years, and we said, we never got a check, we never got any money. And they said, oh, well, it wasn't set up as a fundraiser.
Wow.
After we've been using them for years. Like, we didn't, what do you mean it wasn't set up as a fundraiser? Like, nothing changed.
Right.
So we were not very happy.
I would say.
So that's kind of what prompted the switch.
Okay.
And we just went to the online always open store. At Deer Ridge, I know we took the flyer. Yep. I don't know that anything came with that, but it did go home to the fifth grade parents in the folders. I would say too, well, I think, I don't know, it may be worth you contacting the PTCs, but at the same time, we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
We are still trying to fill those roles. for
Yeah,
next year,
yeah.
And you might get a little pushback on that. Because only if it's gonna be a specific parent who is done with elementary.
Right, fifth grade,
And
and
they
that's probably.
I don't know. It's just, everybody's in the same situation.
Mhm.
But I think word of mouth,
Mhm.
reaching out. Needs some help, that would be my only.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested or know of somebody you think might be interested, please.
Also, like, doing, I mean, Lindsay's PTC posts are incredible.
Yeah.
And just doing a little thing on, these are the positions that we're looking for and posting that may get some interest too.
Mhm.
With a little advertisement kind of, this committee and a little blurb about it.
Yeah,
That's true. And you can post that
before the end of school.
over and over
Yeah.
again, you know what I mean? Like, that's not,
That's like summer will hit people.
Yeah.
Right now, I feel like everybody's.
right, yeah, right now, everybody's crazy, and then, but, I mean, June, July, get people, yeah, by still continuing to make those social media posts. Is what we're looking for, please reach out.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the big things is how do we communicate during the summertime to get a hold of these kids, these parents coming in? I think that was always an issue we've always had trying to.
So Rachel, they have, Ashley told us at the last invitational meeting that there has been a different every year now, right, in the summertime. And so she'll have earlier access to all of those students. So a lot of the messaging will have access to.
Right.
Anyway, guys, do you want to, if we're.
We can talk about that. So one of the things is obviously we're almost here, and a big thing is making sure we kind of set up everything for next year and make sure that we know kind of like what's going to be put on next year. Also, like what do we expect revenue wise to help with budgeting specifically for like teacher, some of these major things that we don't get revenue from. It's more the items that we are, the programs we put on that we don't charge for. You know, obviously, a big one is teacher appreciation. Mr. Clark, Dr. Clark has his principal fund that he likes to have, and that's usually the T-shirts every year. So in saying all of that, that has to be presented basically right as soon as the next school year starts, and we have to pass the budget before September. That's what I'm reading it as. And so I'll work with Sarah on that one since she's going to be transitioning to the treasurer role. And so then she'll also know that for next year how to do it and work on it and some things. We'll collab on that one, but basically we'll have to vote on that basically right after school starts next year. And so again, this goes back to the conversations, what programs are we going to have next year? I need to make sure I present it. Technically, it's called the finance committee that has to review it. So that's going to be the president, the vice president, the secretary, and the treasurer. Well, the treasurer doesn't get a voting part in that. So basically the other three look at the budget and then basically approve that budget to present. Okay. And so we, at some point, I think we're going to meet during the summertime to go over some of these. So just keep that in mind as we're talking about next year. Sarah and I will get together to kind of start putting a budget together, and then any feedback if we're not going to do something will be really important, so we don't put it in the budget. Another big thing is everybody eats. That's a big one that usually we have ahead of time as soon as the school year hits. So that would be really kind of important to budget for that as well. Again, like there are things that we've done in the past. I don't know if you guys are bringing it up, but this summer would just be really important to know that, like, are we doing these things or not next year? The good thing is we're adding a golf night, so maybe that'll be something to do every year. Yeah, that's something that's going to be big coming up is the budget meeting. We're talking about the budget and what we have going on next year. And one of the things that I know Dr. Clark was like, make this a rebuilding year, like rebuilding your funds. I guess going back to that, we do have a lot of things going on, and there are some things that we are going to be paying for. But at the end of the day, is next year going to be another rebuilding year or not? Too, we're going to want to have that discussion or not. Because what happens is at the turnover of June 30th, technically we're supposed to do a calculation of what funds we have available that aren't reserved funds, and then basically move some of that into the savings account. Okay, so just to be aware that that's also another good thing. But knowing if we're going to do a rebuilding year or not is important as well. Right. So we'll talk about that even then at the board meeting. Technically, the board meeting can be also a finance committee meeting if you really want to. And go through the budget. Hopefully with you before. And then we can present some sort of like, here's our rough draft of what we've got. What do we want to fix and add?
To invite you guys to come and get a drink if you like.
Well, thank you. Bring it on. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, great school year. It
It
does,
Really.
really. And then you guys are all introduced to sixth grade. At Woodside. Sarah, is, your child also sixth grade?
Yes.
I thought so, okay. Sixth grader and a second grader.
Just pass it on to Jen.
I can't believe how well you guys are all coming out for dear age. You're
Yes,
amazing.
well,
Sorry, Sarah, you said you were.
Yeah. Yes, my son moved to Covington.
Oh, they're coming.
So he has special needs, so they transferred him from Deer Ridge, but my daughter went all the way through Deer Ridge, and my son did 3 years at Deer Ridge. Over 2 years. So we lost there at Deer Ridge this year. But that's why. So I'm at Covington, so I'm getting a view of both elementary.
Yeah.
And then Annie at.
Oh, yeah.
Thursday,
Yeah.
Very nice. She was super excited about that.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Like birthday friend?
So it doesn't matter, as long as they do their.
I sort of did too.
Yeah.
I should have done it as a. No, it's like the first time I've experienced it. We used to do like and so 2 days a week in the office and 3 days at home, and it's this hybrid thing, man, that it's coordinating, you know, yeah. But now I'm like, I can leave in 5 hours. That's fine.
Yeah, it's up to you if you wanna go to like a mountain place or if you wanna just do it, but
Where's your office?
it's just, you know where the fire station is on the or between Getz, your Getz.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so there's a
Yeah,
fire.
there's, I'm gonna picture that I might.
Yeah, so there's a fire station on the left, you turn from Covington, you go left. Well, there's right that road where the light is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Just take
my
all the way back there.
my son does speech back there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
there's a
well,
lot
I
of-
updated
lot of
the graph,
back there. So
Yep,
we're-
down
we're
right
just-
around
yeah,
there.
they're just in a,
Right
there.
Oh, interesting, because yeah, my son's been in speech there for 6 years, so I'm very familiar with Constitution.
Yeah, so it's not too far.
No, that's right.
I'll shoot you the address, but then, yeah, should be sometimes I work that early in the week.
Yeah, if you pick a date that isn't 6,
Okay.
that should be fine.
Yeah, I'll shoot you.
Yeah, I mean, we have land on the area for like after school times, so that's fine. So my son, is autistic, so he does speech and occupational therapy and
You're like,
right there.